It's October. Well, it's September when I'm recording this, but it will be October when this gets posted. Which means my Halloween hype is socially acceptable now, and that means it's time to put pumpkins on your porch, make your coffee extra hot, and draw something spooky. Actually, this is a continuation of my totally hypothetical D&D supplement book that I'm using as a guide for my own campaign. And I just really wanted an excuse to make some horrid little monsters and creatures. If any of these creatures happen to have strong likenesses to any existing D&D creatures, which, I mean, there are so many monsters, what are the odds that there wouldn't be? It's totally a coincidence, but also let me know so I can check out the stat blocks and reference them in my book, or use them as a guideline to help me figure out my own stat blocks for my own monsters, because I've never really homebrewed monsters before, and that's going to be an experience. So here we go. The only concept I had going in was making inky creatures, hence my very good title, although I've never played Bendy and the Ink Machine, and I only kind of know what the game is about. Anyways, first up is this little guy. I knew I wanted a scrunkly little crawly shifty fellow, something that would slink around in the shadows, tailing the party around while they wandered. This would be sort of an XP grinding monster, I think. Even though I'm a much bigger fan of the milestone method than the numerical method of leveling up characters in D&D, it's always nice to have a goblin adjacent monster type that you can use to give your encounters a little boost. This next monster, I'm not sure what I was doing. I think I just wanted to draw a spindly little fellow. This monster strikes me as one that the party wouldn't find to be inherently hostile at first. It would be a watching presence that constantly stakes out the party as they walk through certain sections of the map. I really like the idea that its eyes are just scrying orbs, so maybe they're just a pair of eyes for somebody else. I struggle with this next one for quite a bit. I really wanted to create a creature that evoked the same feeling as seeing the mouth of Sauron does, and you see me try to give someone a long boomerang or weirdly pyramidal shaped head like all throughout the sketches, and it doesn't work until much later. So this guy sort of ends up just being I just end up really unimpressed with him overall. He's just very cliche, spindly, skinny, malnourished guy with backwards joints running through the woods. You know, as they do. Again, I keep trying to force this triangle oblong head onto him. I was really just like mouse, teeth, but it was not working for me at all. But I suppose there's always one of these skin stretched over a rack of mismatched bones fellows in like a lot of horror media and cryptid sightings, so why not put one more? Oh yeah, this is Eyeballs McGee. Yeah, he doesn't stay around. I do like the idea of having the whole head reserved for a single eyeball, but it's not a concept that sticks for any of the final designs. Also, to use the slang of the cool kiddos, it's giving Pleakley from Lilo and Stitch, but like particularly constipated. Again, I attempt to say the chanting in the back of my head, and out comes this little guy. Since the whole theme was supposed to be ink and slime and goo, and I haven't really channeled that particularly strong in any of the creatures that I have made so far, I decided what better than to make the slimy boy himself, Frog. I really enjoyed drawing him. I'm not sure why. Visually, he doesn't really strike fear, and he looks pretty passive. I mean, he probably is a bit of a landmine in like tall grass, and perhaps if you get within 5 feet of him, he casts an entanglement-like spell, except it's ink and it's sticky and it sucks. He also probably bites ankles and is poisonous. This is another one of those probably isn't going to hurt you, but definitely is going to keep an eye or 2 or 3 or 7 on you. It's going to be a little bit of a guide creature, I think, like a bomb-sniffing dog or something. So they can probably help the party navigate landmine frogs or help them make their way through mazes of the environment. I also wanted some of the creatures to look like they were normal creatures before, but something terrible has happened to them. And I think Eyeball Deer is a nice way to sneak that very fun fact in. Here, I do a very horrible thing and create a creature in particular to disgust and horrify my husband, because my dearest darlingest hates slimy crawly things as well as parasites, so like Leeches are the epitome of all things he hates in the world, so of course I had to make a little parasitic slimy worm creature. And then I start giving them ridiculous names or captions because it increases my personal endearment of them. So right now we have I'm just a little guy, hee hee, Sneep Snop, Spider-Man eats your heart, Spider-Man, puppy rat lizard, and oh dear, hee hee hee. Yeah, and then I forget to hit record again, so you have the aptly named Himbo of the Wastelands and Sklurmb. I was going to end the video with just sketches, but since I forgot to hit record again for Himbo and Sklurmb, and I mean, I had very little footage recorded anyways, I decided to go in and do some nice line art. I know I didn't do fancy rendering again, but you get 8 funky fresh creature designs as opposed to 1 very highly detailed one. I hope that's okay. So yeah, again, I go work on our little guy here. I don't know if this idea is like a little too much, but let's just say eggs laid into host eyeballs. Benign at first, but then they eat, you go blind, your brain function and nervous system declines, and then boom, out they come. It's icky just thinking about them. I don't know what spell you cast to fix that. Probably like one of them restoration spells, depending on how long you've been a host for these little creepy guys. It's not gonna make for any exciting battle encounters, but it might make for some dramatic visuals and interesting characters that they might meet along the way. So enough of that, time for some himbo content. It's just Pyramid Head, but the pyramid is the other way. I wanted a sentry/guard opponent that they might encounter because this place will have a lot of ruins and a few dungeons in it that I think these creature fellows could stand guard for. This way I can give them more humanoid attack strategies instead of resorting to clawing and biting, which is what most of these monsters will be able to do. Sklurmb! Yeah, I think this is upgraded puppy rat lizard. When you encounter puppy rat lizard, you're like, oh, these guys are easy. But then you make it to a den, or you finish killing off a pack, and then you hear a distant growl, and it's like, oh no, they were the babies and this is the mother. I know none of these drawings are to scale, but I think it would be great if Sklurmb was the size of a lion or a horse. That would be pretty cool. Also, I should probably think of actual names for these creatures instead of Sklurmb and Himbo. If you have any recommendations, I would love to hear them. I will probably never stop calling this one Sklurmb. Actually, I started this video with Halloween vibes, but I have a confession. I never really grew up celebrating Halloween. I mean, I went trick-or-treating maybe once, and I have handed out candy to kids at the door a couple times, and I think I've carved 3 or 4 pumpkins in my lifetime, but that's about the extent of my Halloween holiday ventures. I don't really even enjoy watching scary movies. I do love Halloween vibes though.
Look at it's freaking bats. I love Halloween.
And I love making and wearing costumes, and my husband likes to describe my general vibe as closet goth. But since I'm not financially nor emotionally secure enough to turn my wardrobe or any other area of my life full swing down the goth route, Swamp Babushka is going to have to cut it for now. Also, yeah, did you enjoy me interpreting my vague sketch scribbles into something like a face? Because I sure didn't. I don't like this man. I think he needs to go back to wherever he came from, and I regret bringing him into existence. Sorry, buddy, you just will never understand me like Himbo of the Wastelands does. I think if any of these creatures really embodies how I feel right now, it's this guy. Yeah, tag yourself. I'm Hee Hee. Although Sneep Snop is a relatively close contender. When I first drew this frog landmine, I didn't think he really matched the vibe too well, and I think that's why I went so hard on the goop sticking to the grass strands around him. Without that, he's just a frog with more teeth than he should have. I mean, he's still a frog with more teeth than he should have, but now he's thematically gooey. Last but not least, Sneep Snop. Don't mind him, he's just looking. I would, on the other hand, mind who he's looking for. Not looking for like among the party, I mean mind who he's looking for, or rather on behalf of. At any rate, here they are. I actually really like how a lot of these turned out, and I'm in a love-hate relationship with some of them, but for a brainstorming chill doodle session, I think this went quite nicely. thanks for hanging around while I talk about silly and or incredibly disturbing concepts. Sorry it's not my usual content, but hopefully it's okay that I started spooky month this way. Since this was just part of the planning stage to solidify the kinds of monsters I want to draw and homebrew for my campaign, this particular drawing will not go into my campaign book, but these make for great starting thumbnail/sketches for future more detailed and rendered drawing. If you have a favorite, let me know, and maybe I'll do a nice detailed episode on that particular creature, all fleshed out and in color with D&D stats. That would be very fitting for Halloween. And yes, I will do it even if your favorite is Spider-Man Eats Your Heart Spider-Man. Everyone has a different idea of what their emotional support homebrew monster is. But if yours is Spider Guy, you might need help. Or maybe I need help. Or maybe we both need help for investing emotions into monsters at all. Who knows? Not me.